So to clear up a bit of confusion on the previous episode, this isn't a traditional alternate history, as in, here is a divergence point, here's how it affects everything. No, this is a dream scenario, as in all of the plans the Axis had, and not necessarily the reasonable result of the Axis victory. For some countries, the plan was very clear, like Japan's. Sometimes the plan was already enacted, like Germany's. Sometimes parts were implied, but not directly stated, so I made some assumptions, like Italy's. And there were plenty of areas not included in any plans, like Tibet, so I made something up. So this is the world the Axis wanted, but not what they would necessarily get. So with that out of the way, context. Green color equals Italy's zone of influence, red colors, Japan's, and blue colors, Germany's. Bright blue means the Greater German Reich, aka the part of the German Empire that is actually considered Germany. Dark blue is Reichskommissariats, which is the empire part of the German Empire. Pale blue is the Reichsgeschäfts, which translates to Reich dominions, and are the autonomous regions of the empire, and are basically their own thing, but technically part of the empire. It isn't actually a real thing, I made it up to be a compromise between occupied countries that are independent and non-independent countries that are relatively unoccupied. And light blue are puppets. Red is the Empire of Japan, and pink is Japan's puppets. Green is the Kingdom of Italy, dark green is the regions of the Italian Empire, and light green is Italy's puppets. And all the other colors is everything else. With that out of the way, Axis victory, alternate history, part 3, Germany. Germany started its first conquest in 1938 when it annexed Austria, but it is hard to call it a conquest because it just sort of happened. It went something like this. "Hey, Austria," said Germany. "Yes, Germany," said Austria. "Can I have you?" asked Germany. "Sure," said Austria. Well, okay then. But why did this happen? Well, Germany really liked Germans. Austria is German, so Germany should have Austria. But guess who else is German? Czechoslovakia. Or at least some of it. This part called the Sudetenland. So Germany took that too after a minor international crisis. Then sometime later took the rest of Czechoslovakia. Sudetenland was brought directly into Germany, Czech was added to the Reich as a protectorate, and Slovakia turned into a puppet. But Germany wasn't done, and took more territory from Slovakia, giving it to their new friend, Hungary, in the First Vienna Award. "Well, that was fun," said Germany. "Who should I defeat next?" So Czechoslovakia wasn't important enough for the Allies to go to war over, but for some reason Poland was. So when Germany invaded Poland to take back old lands, plus the rest of Poland, the Allies were like, "Whoa dude, don't do that," and went to war. But Germany had another friend, the Soviet Union, and they invaded Poland together, and now Germany had stuff. Specifically North Poland in Germany and South Poland as another protectorate of the Reich. The Soviet Union took East Poland. Now to take out that pesky France. The invasion was going to be a difficult one, because France had one of the world's strongest defenses, the Maginot Line, considered impenetrable and impossible to get through. So Germany went around it, using a fancy new war move called the Blitzkrieg, which is essentially throw a bunch of tanks at them until they surrender. And surrender they did, as Belgium, the Netherlands, and Luxembourg were occupied super fast. "Whoa," said Britain, "that was super fast." And France would have said that too, but unfortunately it was invaded. And now it was two Frances, the occupied North and puppet South. Well, there might be a third France lurking somewhere. Also, this was annexed by Germany, and this by Belgium. Belgium and the Netherlands became at first Reich commissariats, but later would join Germany as more protectorates. Luxembourg was just annexed outright. Then Germany invaded Denmark and Norway, and it's our first Reichsgeschäfts. Except not now, but they will be when the war is over. Then Germany suddenly remembered that the UK was a thing, so threw a bunch of planes at it. Hey, it's the Second Vienna Award, and Romania had to give this piece to Hungary and this piece to Bulgaria. And Bulgaria and Romania are now Germany's allies, even if one of them doesn't like it. Hitler was tired of throwing planes at Britain, and said, "Do Operation Sea Lion." "But my Fuhrer, Operation Sea Lion is unlikely to work, and we would just be killing Germans unnecessarily." "Do it anyways." So they did it anyway. But the Germans colluded with Oswald Mosley and the British fascists, and the king who was sympathetic to Germany but abdicated and wasn't king anymore, to create a civil war. England was in chaos, and the Germans swooped in to take it over. And also Ireland. Both would eventually become Reichsgeschäfts. Well, now that that's over, said Germany, let's take over Yugoslavia. Hey Balkans, you want to help take over Yugoslavia? Sure, said the Balkans. You want to help us, Italy? Said Germany. Okay, but only if we take out Greece too. Sure. So the whole gang took out Yugoslavia and Greece. Hungary expanded a bit, Bulgaria took some stuff, Germany got some as well, and Italy would either annex or puppet the rest. Meanwhile, Japan was off doing things. You know, said Germany, this is all great territory, but I want more. Hey, Soviet Union, what is it, Germany? Die! And Germany invaded the Soviet Union. Germany did this in multiple ways. Invade the Middle East, then move up to the Caucasus, use Japan to distract troops at the Far East, Finland was helping now, and they just invaded from the border. Without the UK to worry about, and actually using suitable equipment for Russia's climate, Germany had successfully taken it over. So, the Balkan region in Belarus was turned into a Reich Commissariat Oslin, expanding east and eventually getting added to the Reich. Ukraine and the surrounding area was turned into Reich Commissariat Ukraine, Caucasus and north of the Caucasus were turned into another Reich Commissariat, the west part of the Stan region was turned into Reich Commissariat Turkestan, and the other half became Reichsgeschaft. Finland took Karelia and Kola. The remainder of Russia west of the Ural Mountains became Reich Commissariat Moscow, and east of the Ural Mountains became another Reichsgeschaft. And Russia passed this random line on the map between Germany and Japan became the Siberian Republic. The Middle East was covered in Italy's episode, and Iran was pretty much left alone. So after that crazy battle with the Soviet Union, Japan continued to do stuff in Asia. And Germany sat pondering what to conquer next. I know, Africa. Hey France, can we use your African territories to invade the rest of Africa? I lost them, said France. You what? Well, you know how we mentioned a third France earlier in the video? Yeah. Well, they took over my colonies. France? Yeah. You messed up. So in short, case Anton, aka France dies again. Italy took some stuff from France, Spain joined the Axis and took some stuff from France, and the whole of France was occupied and turned to a Reichsgeschaft. So Germany and the Axis invaded Africa. North Africa was covered in episode 2, but everything below Italy's Africa became one big German Africa, with southern Africa and the southwest coast both becoming Reichsgeschäfts. Also, Switzerland and Sweden were taken over just because. Well guys, said Germany to the Axis, we conquered everything that we could. Now it's time to just... What was that? Oh, that was me, said Japan. What do you mean? Oh, I attacked Pearl Harbor. You what? I attacked Pearl... Why? Because I wanted the Philippines. You idiot. Now we have to invade 2 more continents, or 1 depending on who you ask. How do you expect us to do that? I don't know, we'll figure it out. So from going to Russia to Alaska, from Norway to Iceland to Greenland to Canada, the Axis invaded America, promising autonomy to anyone who supported them, including Native Americans, Quebecois, white supremacy groups, and pseudo-fascists, inventing the nuclear bomb first and any other deus ex machina they can think of. The Axis took over the Americas. Japan took over the places I talked about in episode 1. Quebec became a Reichsgeschaft along with the eastern Canadian provinces. The American Northeast, South, and Texas all became Reichsgeschäfts as well. The rest of the US and Canada became puppets. Greenland, Iceland, and old European territories in the Caribbean all became Reich Commissariats. And Argentina, Brazil, and Bolivia became fascist and divided Uruguay and Paraguay. So, that is the new Axis world. Maybe the Nazis eventually found something else to conquer. But there was something in the way. Japan and Germany were not really the best of friends. They still had some conflicting claims, and maybe would go to war over it. But who would win? I'll leave that up for you to decide. And maybe it'll be a story for another video.